Now we're live on Facebook. Okay. Hopefully we don't have problems like we did last week. I don't know why. It just kept kicking me off. Good morning. Good morning. So, I don't know. I should wait a couple seconds, I guess. See some people jump on. Right area. Yep. Okay. Some people are jumping on. So, if you guys have not had any problems with the first few blocks, this one should be a cinch. I noticed some people have already finished theirs and posted it to the group. Hi, Jackie. Hello, Sonobi5761. You guys all had a nice weekend. Ours was nice, kind of chilly, really foggy. It's been really foggy here lately. I don't know if it's because it's kind of been a little warm and really humid, but we haven't had rain, just lots of really, really thick fog. It's really weird. And I'm not used to having fog at night, but we've been having fog at night too. Good morning, Penny and Barbara from Illinois. So Illinois is a few hours ahead of us, huh? All right. If there's any questions about this block or the quilt along, please let me know. I know some people have just found me or just joined the group, the Facebook group. If you have any questions, let me know. I just updated my links. So if you're on Instagram, the link in my bio, if you click on it, you can just click on Cloudy Day Quilt Sampler and that'll have a list of all the different blocks. So if you are just joining now, it'll be a lot easier to find those. And so I also posted that link over in the Facebook group as well. So that'll just be a landing page on my website throughout this quilt along so that you guys can just click on it's basically happycloudcreation.com/links. And when you go to that, it'll have the Cloudy Day Quilt Sampler. Click on that and then it'll list all the blog posts, and you click those, and then the download is in the blog posts. Hello, Woodsy Ba from Arizona. Is it still warm in Arizona, or is it getting chilly? I know, like, here is chill. It's starting to get chilly. It was like 45 this morning. Good morning, Judy. Good morning, Michelle. Good morning, Linda. So you guys had trouble finding the video? I just jumped on. So maybe that's why when you're in the Facebook group, if you keep refreshing your browser, it should pop up to the top. If you're using a laptop or a computer, you can also just, on the sidebar, you can click videos and it should be in that section as well. I know it's kind of tricky on Facebook. They don't, like, if you're on a mobile device, sometimes, you know, you have to, refresh your page a while. Sometimes I know on the Facebook you should be able to, since I'm doing the live video right now, sometimes there's somewhere on the screen that says click here to get notifications of when this person goes live. If you can see that, if you click that, you'll get a little notification when I go live. So it looks like we got good group in both Instagram and Facebook. So I now can follow you either on Instagram or Face. Yes, you can, Slinky63. I figured a lot of people don't have Facebook, so I thought it might be beneficial to do this over on Instagram as well. The only thing with Instagram, the video only lasts for 24 hours. So after 24 hours, it deletes. Since I'm not a verified Instagram account yet, I can't upload it to the IGTV yet. Once I'm a verified, I'm not sure how many followers you need to be verified, but once you're verified, you can upload that to the IGTV. So hopefully soon I'll be able to do that. I hope you guys all liked this week's blog. Good morning, Ellen. Good morning, Joan. Good morning, Sharon. Good morning, Sheila. So this is my finished block. Ooh, sorry, that's noisy. I finished it today. So the last few weeks we went over the flying geese. So this one will have two different sets of flying geese. You'll have the 2.5 by 4.5 little ones, and then you'll have these large 3.5 by 6.5 geese, right? Or is that the 4.5? I think it's 4.5. No, no, I'm right. So if you're wondering, yeah, 4.5 by 8.5. So if you're looking at your pattern and you're like, which flying geese am I supposed to be making? So here's the 4 at one time, and if you're wanting to go for the 1 at one time or the half square triangle method, there is a PDF in the blog post for block 1. You just go down to the end, the very last sentence almost, and it tells you 4.5 by 8.5. And then the little ones at the very end tell you that is 2.5 by 4.5. So that's where you'd find out what size flying geese you're making. Oh, you like the yellow with the red star? So at first I was like kind of worried about putting these colors together just because there's not really yellow in this. I always like try to match things, like have the same colors or whatever. But since my quilt is scrappy, I kind of went out of the box on this one because I want to try to make sure that, you know, my number 2 block is red, a lot of red. So I want to try to disperse the red through number, what this is 4, and I want to do it a little bit in 6, and then down in block number 8. I want to put some red in there too. So it's not just like, oh, this big chunk of red and then there's no red throughout the rest of the quilt. So that's kind of why I did the red, and same with the yellow. So I'm trying to kind of evenly disperse it. If you're going scrappy, you might want to look at the coloring sheet and fill that out with, say you got the first 3 blocks done. Okay, I know what colors I have. Maybe I'll put these in this block, this and this. Just to kind of plan it out so that you're not like, once it's all done, go, oh my goodness, there's just way too much of this color or this value, dark, light, or medium in this section. So, sorry, I'm cutting my head off on Facebook. So that's kind of what I did with this one. I like how it turned out though, even though I wasn't expecting I would. Good morning, Pat. Thank you, Linda. I'm glad you guys like it. If you guys are having any trouble, I know a couple people were having some trouble. When you're watching the video on Facebook, above where you comment, besides where it says Happy Cloud Creation, there is a bell icon. Click that and you can select to get notifications when Andrea goes live. Thank you, Michelle. So if you read Michelle's comment, she said there's a little bell you can click on and you can get a notification when I go live. Morning, Shannon, I mean. So I know some people were having issues, and I think the issue was that you're not having I think their blocks are ending up a little bit smaller this week than they did last week because of the scant 1/4 inch seam. So, oh my goodness, it's getting, of course, as soon as I did my live videos, it starts getting sunny when it was super gloomy yesterday. Let's see if that's better. So you want to make sure that those are scant. I went out and bought myself a foot, and it's a 1/4 inch foot, and so you basically line your fabric up against this little edge, push it up against the edge, and it gives me that perfect 1/4 inch scant, so I don't ever have to worry about my blocks not coming out correctly. And since each block has different size pieces, you're going to have different amount of seams, and if your seams are too large, one block's going to end up shorter than the other if it has more seams, because you're taking a tiny bit extra in all those seams and it makes it a little smaller. You can eventually fix that with, when we do the sashing, you can either do a different sashing size or, you know, just kind of, I guess, rearrange the blocks too so that they're evenly distributed. And also you could trim them down a little. The only thing I worry about when trimming down is the points. You don't want to trim more than, you want to leave a 1/4 inch at all your points when you're trimming these. I haven't trimmed any of mine yet. I'm waiting till they're all done. I like to wait till they're all done, press them all, and then measure them. And I like this one, I'm sure I'm going to have to take little bits off here because it looks like this one's diving up a little bit further. It's good to measure things, and along the way. The center block, you want to measure this star block. And then once you attach these, they'll fit perfectly if your flying geese are the correct size. So once I make my flying geese, I make sure these are 4.5 by 8.5. If it's a tiny bit bigger than 4.5 by 8.5, it's not going to line up correctly with this square in the center. What's the difference between a scant 1/4 inch seam and a 1/4 inch seam allowance? So most patterns tell you use a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and they are meaning a scant. A scant is basically a 1/4 inch, which includes the width of your thread and needle. So when you sew your fabrics together, your thread has a little bit of, you know, it has weight to it or whatever. So when you're opening it up, that's going to take up a little bit of fabric in that fold. So that's why you wouldn't want to do an exact 1/4 inch. If it's an exact 1/4 inch, when you fold it open, it's actually going to be a tiny bit more than a 1/4 inch. So that's why you go a thread or a needle width smaller. You can either measure that on your sewing machine and place some tape there, or you can, like I got my foot, and it just automatically gives me that 1/4 inch scant. Another test is, say I had 3 of these pieces together, I sewed a third one on. If they're all 2.5 inch strips, and I sew all 3 together, this center piece will measure exactly 2 inches because you're minusing that 1/4 inch, minusing that 1/4 inch. So the little fold kind of is that little thread width of your needle. I hope that makes sense. I never knew about the scant before I started designing patterns. I would just use my presser foot, and my presser foot is actually a little bit larger than a 1/4 inch. So I just always assumed, okay, yeah, I'm going to make my quilts, and it's going to be a little bit smaller. But I never really did quilts that involve different size pieces. When you're using different size pieces, you want to make sure that is consistently 1/4 inch scant. It does, like my needle doesn't move. I know a lot of sewing machines needles move. So if you were to do the test and you see, oh, this center piece is ending up a little bit smaller than 2 inches, you can move your needle a couple clicks and try it again. If it's ending up bigger than 2 inches, you'll move your needle the other way a click or two. And just test it out, because the more precise your seam allowances are, the more precise your overall block is going to be, and then they'll fit together with your other sampler blocks. If you're doing the exact same block, like say I picked this block and I'm making 9 of them, they're probably all going to end up the same size because they all have the same amount of seams, right? Good morning, Amy. Yours doesn't move either, Linda. I don't, maybe that's a more expensive feature. I don't know. Mine doesn't either. So that's why I end up getting this 1/4 inch scant. I was like, I want to have precise seams, and I've also since then seen people do tape on their sewing machine. You mark it out and do the tape, and then you can just butt your fabric up to that seam or that piece of tape on your machine. So I don't know if there's any questions this week about this block. This one's very similar to block, what? Today's 4, 5, 6. So this one's going to be similar to 6, just the outside border. I used strip piecing for these corner blocks. Strip piecing is basically when you take 2 strips that are 2.5 inches wide, and then you sew them together, press it to the darker color, and then you would cut 2.5 inch wide strips from this, and then you have your pieces. So I'll be okay if I use my 1/4 inch foot on my machine. I tape 2. I would test it out, Woodsy Bob. Just see, get 3 2.5 inch wide strips, sew them all together, press them, and then see how wide that center one is, because your 1/4 inch foot might be fine. I know some people that aren't using that, maybe that's the problem they're having, or they're not measuring their flying geese before they attach the corner units, you know, and then before they attach it to the center. Because if this flying geese is the same width as this center block, it's going to be fine if you sew these 3 together and then these 3 together, and then you sew this strip to this strip, because they'll be the same consistent seam and they'll match up like a puzzle. So yeah, I'd like to know, do other people have 1/4 inch feet and it comes out to a scant 1/4, or do you notice you have to go smaller than that? Oh no, Linda, you can't put down the feed dogs. My old one, I couldn't put down the feed dogs, but my new one does have that feature. But I have not tried free motion quilting yet. It was one of my goals to do that this year, so I might have to just whip up some placemats or something and test out free motion quilting. Because like at the beginning of the year, I set out a bunch of sewing goals. I have all my pieces cut out and we'll sew them this afternoon. Awesome, Linda. Yeah, my needle doesn't move either. I measure and have a 1/4 inch foot. I also use tape on my machine. See, you guys are double doing it. That's awesome, Shannon. Why do I keep calling you Sharon? And I did the test too. Awesome. So did the test come out fine with your foot? You have the foot and I have to just go, oh, you have to go a little shy of your foot to get a scant. My walking foot like has a couple different like grooves on it, and I have to go kind of in between 2 to get a scant. So that's why I typically just use this one when I'm doing piecing, and then I will switch to my walking foot when I'm doing quilting. So I don't know if anybody has any questions about this one. Kind of just like to get on here and check in with you guys to make sure you're not having any issues. And you can find those block patterns in my blog post. I will be leaving those in there throughout the whole quilt along. They'll be free. And then at the end, I will offer a full PDF version, because I know some people are waiting till it's the end and they're just saving them as you go along. You can wait till the end and just download the whole full-length version if you wanted. I have a 1/4 inch foot and guide, but I am just using my 1/4 inch foot. My blocks measure a tad under, but they are all measured the same. See, that's awesome. So if they're all measuring the same, that's perfect, Tanya. So I think mine sometimes they will all measure a tad over, but that could also be, I think, just how thick your thread is too, because I used to sew with a little bit thinner thread, I think, and now I'm sewing with a little bit thicker. So I don't know. I think mine are coming out more accurately than they used to with the thinner thread. So maybe that accounts for my foot with the thread. I know, it's like such a science to it, right? Gotta have and math. And one thing I remember is to always use the same machine throughout the entire quilt. No 2 machines have the same 1/4 inch. That's correct, Ellen. So, and same with rulers. So say you're cutting out some of your pieces with this ruler, and then and this is a Fiskar brand ruler, and then you decide I'm going to cut these other pieces out with my Omni Grip ruler. They might not end up the same. Like this one might be a little different than that one. Even though they're both rulers, you want to make sure to cut all your pieces with the same ruler, and you want to make sure to sew your quilt all with the same machine. Thicker thread, and I might need to press them a little better. Yeah, and if you are measuring them before you pressed them, they're gonna be a little bit bigger once you press them all. Hey, Lisa. I just found my fabric to use. We'll post a picture. Awesome, Anita. I'm glad you found some fabric. Hi, Mary. Awesome, Shannon. I'm glad the test helped you. I had read about that from someone else, I think, because when somebody had asked me a long time ago when I was doing the Snowy Day quilt sampler, somebody asked me, oh, is this a 1/4 inch or is this a 1/4 inch scant? And I'm like, ooh, what's a scant? I'm a self-taught quilter, and so I never knew what a scant was. So I started Googling it, and because my foot was giving me the correct dimension blocks and everything, so I Googled it, and I was reading about scant. Okay, it's just a couple 1 to 2 with thread width smaller than a 1/4 inch. You know, if you do that test, then you, boom, you're right on. Why do you call this a sampler? Amy, it's a sampler because it's not all the same block. It's a sample of blocks. So that's why it would be a sampler. 9 different blocks. They're all the same size, but you get to try out different blocks, different techniques, different, you know, different. So it's a sample. Kind of like when you get an appetizer sampler. It's not all, you know, shrimp. You got some shrimp and chicken and pork. Hello, Mary. Yeah, Shannon, I heard that the rulers can be different, and if they're not by the same manufacturer, especially, I would want to make sure you don't use 2 different manufacturers' rulers. Oh, you learned the hard way. Yeah, so all mine are Fiskar because that's what Joann's carries, and it's the cheaper one, and I figure why buy something more expensive if I don't really need it. I know the Omni Grip don't move, which would be beneficial, so maybe I'll get that next time. If like I get a 50% off coupon or something. But all my Fiskars, they last pretty good a long time too. They're all Fiskars, so they all seem to be measuring correctly, but I do try to typically use one ruler. What is thread weight? Talk about thread size weight. Well, some threads are thicker than other threads, so I'm not sure exactly about the number, what it means. I think the smaller the number, the thicker the thread, correct? I used to use Gutermann's just 100% cotton thread that I used to get at Joann Fabrics. It was like on that 800 yard spool. And so I would get that. And then a couple people on Instagram had recommended, I think Emily Dennis and someone else, they had recommended using this connecting threads white thread that you get from Amazon. It's like way cheaper. It's a really good quality thread, but it was like 4 times, maybe 5 times cheaper than that Gutermann's that I was using from Joann's. Okay, so Tanya said yes. So the higher the number weight, the higher the number, the smaller the thread, the lower the number, the thicker the thread. So some people like to use a really thick thread for embroidery. So like if embroidery floss is going to be way thicker, or they just like to use machine quilting even with a thicker thread. I know I've heard that you have to watch out sometimes with thicker threads. Okay, Michelle says that's correct too. Cool. The thicker threads might not go through your machine as well. I think what I'm using is the connecting thread. It's just like a multi-purpose cotton, 100% cotton thread. It feels a little thicker than that Gutermann's that I used to use. The Gutermann's was still good. It never broke. I just thought, oh, hey, if this is a good quality and it's cheaper, it can save me in the long run. I'm going to purchase that one. Save some money so I can buy more fabric, right? So I don't know, is there any other questions? I'm so glad Facebook hasn't kicked me off yet. I probably should have said something because then it might kick me off. So I forgot my quilt. It's in the other room. So next week will be our center block. And I think I'll be using, I grabbed my fabrics, this combo next week. So I'm kind of grabbed some of my fabrics from block 1 and some of my fabrics from block 3, two of them from each, and then I'm going to use those for my center block. So it's kind of like boom, boom. Those kind of will match, but they won't be totally the same. So I hope you guys are having fun in this quilt along. I'm having fun seeing everybody's beautiful blocks. You use Coats and Clark's cotton for piecing. Always same color. Do you use white? I like using white. Some people like using gray, Tanya says. And I think 40 weight. So Tanya uses 40 weight. So that's probably the most common for piecing, I'm thinking. Thinner, and then and a better thread and thinner for quilting usually. Also use thinner for quilting. I just use that connecting threads white for my piecing and my quilting lately. I typically will quilt mostly in white just because they say to go with the lightest color in your thread in your quilt. And a lot of times like this gray, the gray thread I have is too dark for this. It shows up, but the white kind of blends in nicely. I don't let machine determine my 4th inch. I make sure they are the same no matter what machine I use doing a test strip piecing. Awesome, Jennifer. That's really what you should do. If you plan on changing machines, you should do a test before you jump on the machine. After all, actual 4th inch should never change. Exactly. Well, and a scant 4th inch shouldn't change either. But if you're using that 4th inch and you have multiple seams, and then this other block doesn't have multiple seams, it will add up. Like if you did my Snowy Day quilt sampler and did block number 7, the 7 people hated and loved, it had way more seams than any of the other blocks. And people were like, whoa, all my other blocks are ending up the same size, but this one isn't. And that's exactly why, because there's more seams. And if you have a tiny bit extra than that scant 4th inch, it's going to add up. Usually for free motion quilting, might stick to a Coats and Clark for straight stitch. I will try the Amazon thread. Thanks. Yeah, I heard from a couple quilters, and it was Lo and Behold Quilting and Emily Dennis Quilty Love. They both recommended it, and so I was like, well, if more than one person's recommending it, it must be a good thread, and it doesn't break. I like it. It's pretty good. It is this, I'm like getting really close to read. Sorry, maybe I need glasses. Getting almost up there, you know. Maybe I need some glasses. I have 2 different Janome machines. One will not sew with 100% cotton. The other will. Interesting. So I guess I've only had 2 machines since I've been a grown-up. So since I moved out, I guess. And they've both been fine with cotton. Weird. That's interesting. Thank you, Linda, for the pretty fabrics. I know. I'm excited. This one I think is an art gallery. Yeah. Flourish. I really like that one. This is another art gallery. So this was a pre-made bundle from Stash Fabric that I didn't even pick. So it's kind of fun using fabrics that I wouldn't have thought to put together, you know? You use 50 weight. Mary says she uses 50 weight. Deborah uses 50 mostly. Lighter colors. The one shreds the thread. Oh no, Mary. So one shreds your thread. That would not be good. I wonder if it's something with the tension plate or something. Polyester probably slides through it easier than a cotton. Hi, Amy. You're on the other side now. Weren't you on Facebook earlier? Can you post the type of thread from Amazon? Sure. I'll go into my account and see where I bought it, and I'll put it. I'll let you know. Woodsy Ba. Maybe I'll send you a direct message about that. It's called Connecting Threads, Cotton. Maybe if you Googled that, I will look for you. Yeah, I wonder. That's weird, Mary. I wonder if you talked to a sewing machine dealer or something, ask them if they had any tips, see what the deal is. Aw, thank you, Amy, showing the love over there. I know I had a lot more followers over in the Facebook group. I think because the Snowy Day Quilt Sampler was basically mostly on Facebook and not Instagram. And so the group now is like, has over 1,800 people in it, which I was really surprised to see that this morning. On Instagram, it's kind of harder to reach quilters on Instagram just because there's so much stuff out there. And so it's like, I guess maybe I'm not good at tags, but if you know anybody that likes to quilt and wants to do a free quilt along, hey, let them know. More the merrier, you know? So I don't know. I guess if there's any other questions. Okay, Mary, I'll post a link to the connecting threads over in the Facebook group too. I don't even know when I bought it. Maybe last winter, and I'm still on the first spool. It like was 2 spools, and I'm still using the first spool. It's like lasting a long time, and it was like way cheaper than those little spools that I was getting. I'm so surprised. So surprised. So yeah, I'll post links. Maybe I'll post a link to it on my links page, if I can do that for the Instagram people that want to know about it. So I don't know if there's any other questions or not. I hope you guys have fun sewing. If you get a sew today, I don't know, my son has half days today, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to sew today. We have half days, and then we get to go to a teacher-parent conference tonight. I always like those so you kind of connect with the teacher and see what's going on. I'm really loving seeing everybody's blogs. Make sure to post your pictures. I want to see them. And don't get discouraged if your points aren't on. Just don't point it out. Don't say, oh, my points. Because, like, some of my points aren't perfect. So, like, these ones kind of got snipped a tiny bit. But you know what? Once I quilt this up and it's all quilted and crinkly, nobody's going to notice that, you know? And like Susie Williams from Susie Quilt says, like enjoyment and perfection. If it's too perfect and you're not having fun, then it's not really a fun hobby, you know? So you got to weigh your accuracy and your enjoyment. So, you know, I cut these tiny little bits off, but I'm happy with it and I'm having fun. So that's all that matters, right? So you guys have a wonderful day. I will see you next week, Tuesday. Post a photo of it on Instagram and then the link in the description. Great idea, Michelle. I'll do that. Because I can't do links in the stories, but I could do maybe a link in the photo. So I will see you guys next Tuesday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard or Pacific Daylight Savings Time. Yes, still it's Daylight Savings Time. So I'll see you guys next week at 10. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. And gotta end these lives.